Welcome to Stake Maker. Today, we're diving into MotoGP, the World Motorcycle Racing Championship, a sport that offers some of the most dynamic and unpredictable betting markets out there. Two wheels, top speeds exceeding 350 km/h, and results that can change in the blink of an eye. If you're already a fan of the sport, you know that betting on MotoGP is very different from betting on soccer or even Formula One. In this guide, we'll explain the format, the types of bets, how to read the 2026 grid, and most importantly, how to use all of this to bet smarter, track by track. The MotoGP format, what every bettor needs to know. Before placing your first bet, you need to understand a key feature of MotoGP that many bettors overlook. Each Grand Prix features two separate races, meaning two betting opportunities per weekend. Friday, two free practice sessions determine who advances directly to Q2, the top 10, and who must go through Q1. These sessions are crucial for assessing the rider's actual form before placing a bet. Saturday, qualifying, Q1 followed by Q2, each lasting 15 minutes, to determine the grid, followed by the sprint race at 3 p.m. The sprint is about half the distance of the main race, with championship points awarded to the top 9 finishers. The winner earns 12 points, second place 9, and so on. It's a short, aggressive race with no tire strategy, and therefore different to bet on than the main race. Sunday, the Grand Prix, the main event. Full points, 25 for the winner, 20 for second place, are awarded to the top 15 finishers. The race lasts about 40 to 45 minutes, involving tire management, strategy, and weather variables. Why is this important for betting? Because the sprint race and the main race don't favor the same types of riders. Some riders, like Marc Marquez, excel in short, aggressive formats. Others, who are more consistent, handle long distances better, and a sprint result can influence Sunday's odds. Bookmakers adjust their lines after each session. Key tip: never bet on the main race before watching qualifying. Grid position is much more decisive in motorcycle racing than in Formula One, because overtaking, especially early in the race, is costly in terms of tire management. The 2026 season. Why it's special. The 2026 season is the last of the 1000cc era in MotoGP. In 2027, the championship switches to 840cc engines with new Pirelli tires and a completely rewritten set of rules. This has a direct impact on betting. Some teams and manufacturers will already begin developing their future machines in parallel, potentially at the expense of immediate competitiveness in 2026. This is an additional risk factor for long-term championship bets. Ducati remains the dominant team. The Bologna-based manufacturer has won every manufacturer's title since 2020 and has won 85% of the races over the last 3 seasons. In 2025, Marc Marquez clinched his 7th world title riding for the Ducati factory team, finishing 78 points ahead of his brother Alex Marquez. For bettors, Ducati is the benchmark. If you're betting against a Ducati factory rider, you need a good reason. Aprilia is gaining momentum. For the first time, Aprilia is a real threat. Marco Bezzecchi proved in 2025 that he could beat the Ducatis under the right conditions, and Jorge Martin returns with the motivation of a fallen champion. This is the team to watch for underdog bets. KTM, Honda, and Yamaha are rebuilding. KTM is going through financial turbulence but is keeping Pedro Acosta and Brad Binder. Honda is gradually improving its RC213V with Luca Marini and Joan Mir. Yamaha is betting everything on its new V4 engine, a revolution for the brand, which has used an inline engine since 2002, with Fabio Quartararo as its first test subject. These 3 manufacturers are risky for winner bets, but interesting for intra-team rivalries. The 2026 grid, riders to watch for betting. Marc Marquez, Ducati factory, 2025 champion, favorite for an 8th title that would tie him with the legendary Giacomo Agostini. At 33, he is at the top of his game with the best equipment. His weaknesses, he takes risks, and his past injuries could resurface. Shortest odds on the grid, bet on him as the favorite only where the odds still offer value. Francesco Bagnaia, Ducati factory, 2-time world champion 2022-2023, but struggling in 2025 against Marquez on the same team. His motivation to bounce back makes him an interesting promising candidate for podium bets and intra-team duels. On his favorite tracks, Mugello, Jerez, his odds may be undervalued. Marco Bezzecchi, Aprilia factory, the best non-Ducati rider of 2025 according to many observers. Winner at Silverstone last year, he will be Aprilia's main weapon in the title race. His odds for race wins are often good value, especially on technical circuits. Pedro Acosta, KTM factory, the greatest talent of his generation, but with a bike that's lagging behind. Excellent in qualifying, he can surprise on specific circuits, ideal for pole position bets or sprint race bets, short-distance races where pure speed matters more than the bike's endurance. Alex Marquez, Gresini Ducati. Having stepped out of his brother's shadow in 2025, with his first Grand Prix win under his belt, he now races on a factory bike with Gresini. His odds at the start of the season might be too low for his true value. Toprak Razgatlioglu, Pramac Yamaha, the big unknown of 2026. A three-time Superbike world champion, he is making his MotoGP debut. The transition from Superbike to MotoGP is historically difficult. Even the best have struggled. His odds for the first few races will be inflated by his reputation, but stay cautious. Wait for the tests and the first races before betting on him. Fabio Quartararo, Yamaha factory. The 2021 champion, who hasn't won a title since, is counting on the new Yamaha V4 as his last chance. If Yamaha makes progress, his odds will be attractive. If the V4 disappoints, and early tests revealed mechanical issues at Sepang, he remains a risky bet for the championship. Types of bets in MotoGP. Race winner, the most classic bet. With Ducati's dominance, the odds for Marquez and Bagnaia are often very close on standard circuits. To find value, look for circuits where history favors underdogs, or bet on satellite Ducatis like Bezzecchi or Alex Marquez. Podium. Top 3. A safer bet for competitive riders who aren't necessarily winners, ideal for Bagnaia, Acosta on his strong tracks, or Bezzecchi. Less risk, lower returns. Adjust your bet based on the odds offered. Head-to-head bet. Which of two riders will finish ahead of the other? This is often where the best value lies. The Marquez-Bagnaia duel at Ducati is fascinating because the two riders have clearly been at odds in 2025. Bagnaia has everything to prove. The intra-team battle at KTM, Acosta vs. Binder, is also regularly well priced by bookmakers. Sprint race winner, Saturday, a separate bet from the main race. The sprint favors fast qualifiers and aggressive riders. Marc Marquez excels at it, as does Acosta. The market is often more open than Sunday's race, and thus offers better odds on the favorites. Pole position, often less predictable than the race winner, as riders like Acosta or the Ducati satellites can set a fast lap even if their race pace is less dominant. Interesting odds on technical circuits like the Sachsenring or Assen, where the specific characteristics of the bikes come into play. Championship winner. Outright. Marquez is the favorite at the vast majority of bookmakers, but 2026 is the final year of an era, and teams will be juggling immediate competitiveness with the development of 850c bikes for 2027. A lack of focus on the current season could derail even the best. If you want to bet on the championship, wait at least 3 or 4 races before placing a significant wager. Adapt your bets to the circuit. In MotoGP, even more so than in F1, the track dictates the pecking order. Here are the main types of tracks you need to know. Technical, slow circuits, Jerez, Sachsenring, Assen, Motegi. These tracks, with their tight corners and heavy braking, favor riders with a strong feel for the front end. Marc Marquez is the king of these tracks, especially at the Sachsenring, where he has almost never lost. Be cautious about betting against him on these circuits. The Sachsenring is often nicknamed his private track. Fast-flowing circuits, Mugello, Phillip Island, Portimao. The long, fast corners highlight the bike's aerodynamics and overall balance. Ducati excels here. Mugello is Ducati's temple. The Ducati factory bikes always start as heavy favorites there, and the odds on the underdogs can be undervalued. Phillip Island, on the other hand, is chaotic due to the wind, one of the best races for betting on upsets. Circuits with uncertain weather conditions, Le Mans, Silverstone, Brno. These tracks in northern or central Europe are known for their unpredictable weather. The French Grand Prix at Le Mans is one of the most likely to be run in the rain, which changes everything. In the rain, the pecking order shifts dramatically. Marc Marquez is the best wet weather rider of his generation. If rain is forecast at Le Mans or Silverstone, his odds to win are often undervalued. Conversely, Ducati riders with less wet weather experience can falter. New for 2026, Brazilian Grand Prix, Goiânia, March 22nd. MotoGP makes its grand return to Brazil for the first time since 2004. The Autódromo Internacional Ayrton Senna in Goiânia is a permanent circuit with no recent history in the discipline. There is maximum uncertainty regarding tire specifications, temperatures, and track characteristics. Circuits with a high risk of safety cars: Barcelona, Austin, Mugello. These circuits combine a high density of tight corners with a history of numerous crashes early in the race. If your bookmaker offers markets on the number of safety cars or retirements, these tracks are worth keeping an eye on. 6 tips for successful MotoGP. Betting in 2026. Always watch Friday's free practice sessions. In MotoGP, Friday afternoon's FP2 is the most revealing session. It includes long-run simulations that show each rider's true race pace. This is often where the weekend's real trends emerge, well before qualifying. Don't bet on Toprak Razgatlioglu until after his first 5 races. Despite his impressive track record in Superbike, the transition to MotoGP is historically brutal, even for the best. Wait to see his true performance levels under race conditions before putting your money on the line. The sprint race is different from the main race. Bet on them differently. The sprint is 50% distance, 0% tire strategy, and 100% aggression. Riders who qualify well but manage their tires over the long haul, like Bagnaia, have a different profile than short-format specialists, like Marquez. Don't automatically apply your main race predictions to the sprint. Be wary of unreported injuries. MotoGP is a sport where riders race injured far more often than they admit. A rider who seems to be underperforming over 2 or 3 races may simply be recovering from a crash. Follow the specialized news sites for medical updates between races. 2026 is also a year leading into 2027. Keep an eye on contract announcements. A large portion of the grid is set to see their contracts expire at the end of 2026. Marquez, Bagnaia, Quartararo, Acosta, and many others. Negotiations for 2027 can influence riders' motivation during the season. A rider who knows he doesn't have a seat for the following year may either give it his all or take fewer risks. Compare odds before each race. In MotoGP, the markets are sometimes less deep than in soccer or tennis, which creates significant disparities between bookmakers. For riders like Alex Marquez or Bezzecchi, the difference in odds between different platforms can be significant. Taking 30 seconds to compare can change the profitability of a bet in the long run. Conclusion: the 2026 MotoGP season is a unique one, the last of the 1000cc era, with Marc Marquez chasing a historic record, Aprilia looking to prove it can finally beat Ducati, and unknowns like Toprak Razgatlioglu or the Yamaha V4 that could be game changers. Remember the essentials. Watch the free practice sessions before betting. Adapt your approach to the type of track, distinguish the sprint from the main race, and never underestimate the impact of the weather, especially in Europe. In MotoGP, fresh information is always worth more than a rider's past reputation. Let us know in the comments, which rider are you betting on for the title in 2026? And which race are you most looking forward to on this season's calendar? Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe to StakeMaker to get our analysis for every Grand Prix, and check out our selection of recommended bookmakers for MotoGP in the description. See you soon.